The FNRad Snowboard podcast is presented by Vans.
Oh yeah, I wanted to be absolutely not attractive to snowboarders.
Maybe we need an injection of that, because it'd be interesting.
And I didn't sign the contract, I just had it in my bag for a couple of months.
And we're all like, oh, that's just banging, let her run.
We pushed each other to become better.
Front three-tailed it.
Season 5 of the FNRad Snowboard podcast is sponsored by Wired Snowboards, the Boardroom Snowboard Shop, Anon Optics, Crow's Nest Barbershops, and Tribute Board Shop in Nelson, BC. Support for the show also comes from Grouse, Cypress, and Mount Seymour. Those are Vancouver's 3 local mountains. Tribute Board Shop in Nelson, BC carries a curated offering of the best snowboarding and skateboarding stuff you can buy. Shane and Mark know their shit and are producing short Insta clips in their Tribute Lounge to help educate you on getting the most out of your gear. Go into the shop in Nelson, BC if you live there or if you're visiting to get some epic snow. Shannon Dunn-Downing is a legendary professional snowboard world champion who won bronze in the 1998 Olympics in halfpipe and was actually favored to win that year. She's married to Burton legend Dave Downing, and they live in California raising their 2 teenage boys who couldn't be nicer people. Shannon dominated women's halfpipe in the years leading up to the first Winter Olympics to include snowboarding. She was like the female Terrier, impossible to beat. We had this lovely conversation back in December. Please enjoy my interview with Shannon Dunn-Downing. Set the scene for me here. You're both competing at the time that you meet in Italy?
With Dave. Dave did compete. I kind of forget that because
he
was such hated competition, really.
Yeah.
He did a few though. But so when I met Dave, originally I wasn't supposed to go on the trip where I met him. I was going to CU in Boulder, Colorado University.
Yeah.
And
what were you taking?
I was a kinesiology major because I wanted to go into physical therapy. So anyway, so I did a photo shoot with Jeff Curtis. And
cool.
There was a contest that Tina Bassage and I were going to go to. And so I was just telling him, hey, we're going to Europe. And he's like, oh, I'm going on this photo shoot for Trans World. You guys should come. And we're like, cool. So I talked to Tina and I'm like, oh, we're going to be at this event. Anyway, Jeff's like, maybe we should go to this photo shoot with Trans World. And she's like, yeah, let's book the ticket. And so she goes and finds the flights, gets the tickets all set, and Jeff calls back and says, I'm so sorry, there's already a group going, and basically you guys can't really go. So we're like, you know what? We're going to go to Europe anyway. We'll just go early. We have to go to this contest, but we'll just kind of wing it and figure out what we're going to do. And so we just kept our flights as is. And it was dumping in Utah. And we were living in Utah at the time during the winters. And I was like, maybe we shouldn't go because the snow is epic. And maybe we should just cancel our flight and go postpone it to the contest time. And she's like, no, we're going. I'm like, okay. So we had our flight, and then we get a call that Cersei Wallace was actually the girl supposed to go. And she injured her knee. She had an ACL injury, so she couldn't go. And so that, it was kind of crazy because the group just got reconfigured. And so that Dave was not originally supposed to go on that trip. But Eric Koch, he was the Burton team manager at the time. I think the guy from the Trans World, Jamie Meiselman, actually. Oh, yeah. He talked to Eric Koch and said, hey, we need another rider. And so I guess, Dave was the local at Big Bear, and he had to choose between Shannon Hames and Dave. And I don't know why he picked Dave, but he did, good luckily.
Call. Yeah.
And then Brian Thien ended up going on that trip as well. And then Tina and I already had our flights, so they're like, why don't you girls come?
Oh, cool.
And so we ended up going.
So they totally reconfigured. So at first you're like, we'll go. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Then they're like, you can't.
You can't go.
And then they're like, oh, well, yeah, you can.
Yeah. So then we get to Europe, and The whole trip was just crazy. This kind of a life-changing trip for everyone that went, I would say.
Life-changing trip in what way? Did that trigger a memory for you?
This is what I was going to say, is that I thought Dave Downing was Dave Dowd, and Dave Dowd was a snowboard racer. And I was like, why is Dave Dowd going on this freestyle trip to Trans World?
Yeah.
Because I had never heard or met Dave. And so when we met, I met Dave, and we went to the little grocery store, Tina and I and Dave, to get just some snacks or whatever. And he carried my grocery bag, and I was like, gosh, that's just nice. Like, I don't know any snowboard guys that do this. Like, he's just a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of was interesting to me, and then this whole trip, we were just all friends, and it wasn't until after that trip that we were actually in Las Vegas at a trade show, and he's like, hey, let's go swimming or whatever.
Yeah.
And then,
let's have a date.
We had a date, an unofficial date.
Yeah.
And we ended up watching Wayne's World 2.
Oh my God, that's such an era. That's amazing.
And that was a big smooch. And then I was like, you know what? I just knew right then. I was like, I'm marrying this guy.
Wow.
I know I'm going to marry this guy.
That's amazing.
And here we are.
So at that point in your guys' snowboarding career, what team are you on at that point?
So I was on Sims.
Yeah.
And, half the year I was going to college. The other half I decided to take off to snowboard and compete. Mm-hmm. And I was riding, it was 1994 when I met Dave. I was riding for Sims. I just had the Sunflower board come out.
Yeah.
The women's pro model.
Is that the first women's pro model, the Sunflower board?
So
a couple of boards came out around the same time, didn't they?
Yeah. So technically, Lisa Vincent Guerra had a Checker Pig.
Oh, the Checker Pig.
Pro
Right.
model, But that was sold in Europe, and really no one really heard about it. Mm-hmm. Tina came out with a pro model for Kemper at the exact same time I did.
Oh yeah, I remember Tina's. Right.
So, but Gayleen Nagel, she was in marketing for Sims, and so she really got the PR, the marketing, the ads first, and so we call it the first marketed women's pro model snowboard.
Yeah.
So she blasted that out, the first women's snowboard.
And then what was the response to it?
It was huge.
Exactly.
It was just flying off the shelves. And her story, I love Gayleen, and the story behind that board is just really cool. So Gayleen, she's awesome, and she really pushed for a women's pro model snowboard in Sims, and they're like, no, it's not going to sell. And she's like, is going back and forth, like, it's going to happen. This is going to be so good. And so she talked to me, hey, we want to do a snowboard with you. Do you want to design it? And it'll be like the first woman's pro model. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And so I actually had I tore my ACL.
Oof.
And in the hospital room, I drew the graphics. She's like, hey, come up with the graphics. So, I'm drawing the graphics. I have time. And she submits that, and the people in the company are like, no, that's too, like, way in your face feminine, like way too much, because it's like a red background and sunflowers, bright and bold. And at that time, sunflowers were like the trend, total trending, right?
Sure.
And I was like, no, I want sunflowers. And she's like, okay, well, here's the artist already came up with a new piece of art, and it was like the sunflower, it was a hummingbird, and they were really muted colors, just kind of like mauvey, purple, pinkish, like really muted though. And I was like, this is so ugly to me that this is not going to be my graphic. Like, I don't want anything to do with that graphic for sure. And so she's talked to the company, and they're like, okay. She convinced them to have my artwork. And so
that's your actual artwork.
Well, it's my
concept.
I did it exactly like that, and then the artist actually did the final art for
And
that.
painted it and did the whole
painted
thing.
it, yeah.
It turned out really well.
Thanks. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun, poppy graphic for sure.
I saw one somewhere not that long ago, and I was like, oh, it's still like a pretty current like shape and
The
like,
shape, not. If you really look at it, I'll show you later. But but it looks visually, it's pretty cool visually, I think.
yeah,
still.
it's a stunning board for sure.
Yeah. So
What's wrong
like,
with the shape? What am I missing?
This is funny because Dave, when he saw me with that board, he's like, "This is like a popsicle stick. How do you ride that? The running length is like built for somebody that's 6'5".
Right, yeah.
And then the
and then
tip
it
and
just-
tail just goes
yeah.
up really quick.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
But anyway, Galen, going back to that story, because Galen, so the reps, now she had to deal with the reps selling it to the shops, and the reps were saying, we're not going to sell this board. Nobody wants to buy it. We don't want anything to do with it. No, they don't want a girl's specific snowboard. Like, what do you even mean by a girl specific snowboard? Like, it's a snowboard. So she's like, she bought these boards with her own money.
What?
So she just told the company, make these boards, and she purchased them herself with her money and put them in these key dealer shops. And she's just like, can we just put these in on consignment? If they don't sell, I'll take them back.
Whoa.
So, and they just flew off,
Yeah.
the shelves.
That's unbelievable.
It became the highest selling board for Sims, and then the trade show came, and that was like the hype. It was like, oh, we better come out with like a women's snowboard. And Tina, unfortunately with Kemper, they just didn't have a Galen. That's the only difference.
Right.
So I just attribute my pro model to Galen personally. Like, she really did that. She did that for the industry and for women.
That's so sweet.
I was just along for the ride, really,
Sure.
Yeah.
But it was such a bizarre time in the shop because we didn't hear any of the backstory of any of that stuff. We were just like, okay, well, we need to have women's snowboards for the women that come in.
Yeah.
It's like 20% of the people. That means if we're selling 1,000 boards, we need to have 200 women's specific boards.
Yeah.
But there's only like 3 to choose from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Cersei's boot. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
That was a game changer too.
For
like,
sure.
It was just like, because you forget, but before that, every woman had to ride like a guy's boot.
Yeah. And like, clothing. It was, I'd get samples from men's large, because that's the size of the sample, and we have to
Right.
ride it before it's produced. And so I'm like rolling up my pants like 5 times.
Yeah. And
was
just
funny.
nothing ever fits.
Yeah,
Right.
So it was great to have all this women's product for sure.
So I remember you as kind of like, because Tina competed like right from like so long ago,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And then I remember you coming in and dominating kind of a few years after she had been there. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
And like you were like world champion when there was such a thing. Is that correct?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I met Tina in 1990 in Colorado. There was an A-Basin contest, and Craig Kelly was there, and all the
Rad.
top guys and girls, and Lisa Vincent Guerra,
Yeah.
Michelle Taggart, and just everyone. And this is funny, I always mention it because Tina actually remembers this. She's like, I just remember you complimenting me on my scrunchie, that it matched my pants. And I'm like, that's hilarious. Oh my gosh, I love your scrunchie.
Yeah.
But all the girls were so nice. Like, I got third at that event, so I was on the podium, and that's when I circled pro on my entry form. And I was like, well, that's a good thing, because my brother was like, why don't you just circle pro, and if we do well, we'll win some money. And I'm
That's
like,
rad.
okay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm good enough. But
Where did you grow up riding?
I grew up in Steamboat Springs, Colorado.
Oh, wow. Colorado.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there wasn't a half pipe there for a while, but I just, go off, find like little side hits and practice spins and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
So
You
it's
just
good.
rode. Like you were
road.
just riding all the time.
Yeah, you just go off cat tracks and.
And then you go to a contest and you're like, I can kind of figure this out. That's
Yeah,
fun.
I would just stay like during their practice as long as possible. So I'd just be like the last one done because I was like wanted to learn new tricks and just capitalize on being out of half pipe. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was fun. Yeah,
That's rad.
so Tina, yeah, and then I mean Tina's just awesome. You know, she's just so nice and friendly, and so we really clicked and connected. And she's like, "Oh, I'm going here. You should come." And so that's how we started traveling together.
Rad.
Just always inviting and come with me on this trip. And so we have so many great memories. And
You guys were on the Sims team together, right? Did she
No.
come over to Sims?
so after Sims, I met Dave. Well,
Yeah.
during Sims, I met Dave, and then he's like, "You need to get good product. Like
Right.
you should ride for Burton."
Right. He's
And
looking
so-
at the flop kicks and he's like, no, you want something better than that.
Yeah, and Eric Koch was the team manager for Burton, and you know he worked with marketing, and he was on that trip where I met Dave. And so after that trip, I have a journal actually, and it gives a specific like seating arrangement. We went to the chart house, and we have like I drew like the little seating arrangements, and I said, and this is when Eric asked me to ride for Burton, and I laughed. That's what it says in there.
Wow.
Because I was just totally not expecting that, and I was stoked.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Burton's Burton, and it was a great opportunity. But I did laugh because I just, you know, got my pro model with Sims, and, you know, I
Right.
had a trip to go to, like, I think I had to go to Argentina after that with Sims on a photo shoot. So I was like, oh, geez, how's this going to work? So
Yeah, yeah.
I really thought about that. I really thought about it, all of it.
Were the Sims guys pretty bummed out, or
yeah.
were they?
They were.
They weren't supportive. They weren't like, "Hey, yeah, go." Yeah, because Sims was kind of hanging on at that point.
Yeah.
Nah. That was,
It was
yeah.
a lot of
that-
transitions going on with their company and everything, but
with Umbro, right? Like, was that
Yeah,
right before
maybe.
Umbro took them over? And that was like,
maybe,
it didn't feel the same anymore.
yeah.
Like it felt like Sims had.
And I had only been, so I was with Moro originally. That was
Oh,
my
wow.
first sponsor.
Whoa.
And then that was really cool. I should
Yeah.
tell you about that.
Please. Who was on the team when you were on with Moro? Were you friends with?
So this is how it worked.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
So my brother and I graduated high school like 1990, and we convinced my parents to go drive.
You're so afraid of the mic. You can go right
Okay.
there. Yeah, there. That's perfect.
It's like the scary
I know.
lion.
It's the
gonna eat my
worst.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my brother and I convinced my parents to be able to drive up to Whistler and Blackcomb because we wanted to ride the pipes in the summer and get some training.
Rad.
And they gave us their credit card. I don't know why. And my parents still to this day, they're like, I can't even believe we did that. And
That
let
is
you go.
nuts.
You know, my mom worked in real estate, so she sold a house or something, and they funded our trip. They're like, okay, you can do that. And always my parents, especially my dad, really saw snowboarding as something that was going to become something big.
Cool.
So both my parents were really supportive of us in snowboarding, which is really awesome. But so we go in my parents' minivan. It was a Chevy Illumina. So have you seen those? They have like a 3-foot dash, and it's just like a hilarious.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so awesome. So funny. So we my brother and I just drive to Whistler and Blackcomb, and we're on the glacier, and we can't get in the Camp of Champions because we didn't pay.
Right.
So we're just riding the public park, and you know we ended up entering a contest up there, and I think I got on the podium.
Rad.
I won best trick or something.
Nice.
And we met like all those guys up there, the Canadians, and had just such an awesome trip. And then on the way back, we stopped to pick up my best friend, Betsy, who is in Seattle visiting her boyfriend, and then drove down for one day to Mount Hood. We were like, we got to check out Mount Hood and see what's going on there. So we go up. Actually, this is before GPS, so because
Yeah.
we didn't have any of that, right? So we read our map, and it says Mount Hood, and that sounds like the place we want to be, Mount Hood. So we go up, but it's the back road, and we get to the top, and it's like getting dark.
Oh, like you went
It's
yeah,
like
you
the
went
back
behind.
side of the mountain, and there's like, we're going up and up the road, but there's nothing there.
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah.
So it like dead ends, and we have zero gas. And we don't know where to go next. So we just turn around, and luckily we coasted to a gas station, got gas, made it to like the Huckleberry Inn with the slow. Have you been to Huckleberry Inn with the
I've
waitress?
stayed there.
She's like all purple, and
Yeah.
she's like a sloth's pace. Like,
Yeah.
here is your meal. Like, we're like, oh my
Unreal.
gosh, we're so hungry.
Yeah.
So anyway, we go, spent the night, go up on the mountain on the glacier the next day. And, you know, Betsy and my brother are just like, can we go now? Like, it's late in the day. They're tired, just totally fried, like literally like sunburnt.
yeah. It's crazy.
Total crispy. And I'm like, I have this like crazy, like I couldn't stop just hiking the pipe, and I was just amping. Like I had so much energy. It was like maybe a runner's high or something, because I was like, I don't want to go. Just hang on.
Yeah, because you know it's going to be a long time before you're in that
So
pipe
I was
again.
just like running up the pipe and just taking laps and
that's
laps.
rad.
And they were having a Sims photo shoot. We were at the public pipe,
Yeah.
and they were having a Sims photo shoot next to us, and like Todd Richards was there, and so Brad Stewart, it was like the end of the day, and he comes by to, I don't know, he was just on his way out, you know, because then it was the end of the day, and he stops and he's like, hey, here's I'm Brad Stewart with Sims, like, here's my business card, will you call me? Make sure to call me. I want to like hook you up.
Yeah.
I want to sponsor you.
Rad.
And that's I called him, and he's like, I'm this is like for real. This is like legit phone call, but like I'm right now in the process of switching my role and my job, and it's going to be really good. If you could just trust me and call me back, it's going to be good. And I want you to be a part of it. So that was Morrow.
Yeah.
And he was, you know, helping to set Morrow up. And so that was my first sponsor. And that was really awesome, because I got to travel to contests with like B Morrow, Rob's mom, and she was like the team mom.
Whoa.
It's really cool.
Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah.
So did Brad see you like hiking like crazy?
Yeah, I think
And he knew,
I
like,
guess.
okay, that is what we're looking for, is somebody
he
that
just
can't stop.
I don't know. You'd have to talk to him, but
Yeah.
that's how it happened. And I was just, I didn't care what was going on. I was just stoked. No one else was in the pipe. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Have the whole place to myself.
Yeah,
And
I can learn whatever I want.
yeah, that's so
This is
amazing.
awesome.
So the Morrow, how long was it that you were there? A couple of years?
So 2 years, I think, and then Brad left, and then
to
because
start
he left,
Bonfire or something?
yeah, he left, and then I left, and
Yeah.
then I needed to find a sponsor. So yeah, it just worked
That-
out.
that was
Sims,
Sims, yeah.
And then I went to Burton, and when I went to Burton, then Tina
Went to
went to
Sims.
Sims from Kemper. So
I mean, Tina's board on Sims too with the butterfly was really nice.
Yeah.
It was a different manufacturer.
yeah, it changed.
It was
and-
like a bit better of just better quality board, but like
It was.
everything from year to year was a better quality, even at Burton,
Exactly.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I can remember they would have like textured tops one year, and then the next year they'd have like a cleaner,
Yeah.
like just gloss top or
Yeah.
better printing. Like everything was being invented at that time.
Yeah, and quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Writing was just going. Everyone was just improving, whether it's writing or companies or technical stuff.
Yeah, so
Just
you're the first
basically.
women's world champion where like you were spinning in the pipe, like it was legitimate, like the pipe was good, right? Like
Well, I mean, it was good for them.
Compared to like a couple of years before, right? Like where it was like highways.
Yeah.
Like you were the first women's world champion where there were no highways. Would you say?
I would say there's definitely highways.
There's still highways.
Because I remember in '94.
Yeah.
They were we were like shoveling the highway.
Yeah.
Like the Palmer was doing these backside 540s, and there was like a 2-foot wide highway, you know.
So you were on the team with Palmer when you had the clown board?
Yeah, I had a mini Palmer. That was my first year at Sims.
You're riding a mini Palmer.
Yeah, and at the U.S. Open, that was the first U.S. Open I won. I think that was '93.
They have a huge American flag on the bottom?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I was like, and I couldn't have done it. Thanks to my sponsors. I couldn't have done it without my mini Palmer.
That's amazing.
That was fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. What a fun time. So
so fun.
Were you competing because that's where you found your passion, or were you competing because that allowed you
That's
to
all
snowboard?
there was to do.
Yeah.
When I started.
Yeah.
You just compete. Well, everyone competed both in the half pipe and racing.
Right.
And so there's I think Mike Chantry has like such archives of video and everything, but I think there's a video of there's a contest series called the PSTA, and so I'm doing the Super G, I think, in my soft boots, and the commentator was like, and she's in her soft boots. I think I got top 3 in my soft boots, and that was like, woohoo. Everyone's in their speed suits.
Yeah,
Like, this is so uncomfortable.
And so weird. It was so weird. It's like, how much faster is that than just like...
And I hated racing. I ski raced when I was growing up, and I hated ski racing. It's like, hey, if you want to go faster than me, go ahead.
Right.
Like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go, like, I want to go wherever I wanted. Like, why do I have to go in these gates? You know what I mean? So...
Were you on the Moro team with Jana Mayan, or was that a couple years later?
Yeah, she left her,
Because it was still kind of close. Like, it was 95, maybe 94.
Yeah, so it was Rob Morrow, obviously, Todd Richards, Tucker Franzen, and me.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
That's amazing.
Noah Brandon.
Oh, Noah Brandon, right.
Yeah.
On those, on the... I can think of a bunch of shots of him on those spoon nose boards.
Yeah, the spoon nose boards.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, what board would you ride from Morrow at that time?
I don't know the name. It was just a little freestyle board.
Yeah, the little freestyle boards. Yeah.
And then I used to just stand on my board because there were no inserts.
Yeah.
So we had to drill the inserts in. So I would just stand on my board randomly.
Yeah.
And then I'd take a Sharpie and draw my foot and then just drill holes for my bindings. So my stance is like different every time.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, that's so funny.
Dave freaks out on that because he's like Mr. Technical, you know. He's like, I can't believe you did that. You don't even know. And I didn't care. I don't care. I can just ride whatever. I'm stoked.
How early into it do you guys come up with the boarding for breast cancer thing? That's got to be when you were in Utah, right?
Yeah. So I think that was 1996.
Okay. Yeah.
And Monica Stewart, our friend, was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so the industry ladies just really rallied around her and came up with that idea of having boarding for breast cancer as an event. She's so young. And so Tina and I rallied as, snowboarders and friends of hers. And
what was the event? Was the event instantly like snowboarding, skateboarding, and music?
It was music and snowboarding. And Sierra at Tahoe hosted it.
Sweet.
And Tina knew the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Adam Yauk lived with her, and she asked them if they would do the event, and they said, yeah, we'll totally do it, but we have to go under the name Quasar.
Well, I don't understand. What do you mean?
We can't be the Beastie Boys just because of their management,
Their contract.
their contract and everything. So they
Whoa.
just came under the name Quasar. And I think Palmer hosted them. They needed a place to kind of just play somewhere that the night before.
Yeah.
A house. So they asked Tina, hey, can you get us a house to play at? And so I think it was Palmer's house in Tahoe. And so it was just word of mouth. And like the Beastie Boys played inside this little cabin. And people were just smushed in there, like hanging off the chandeliers and stuff. And like, it was insane.
Because that was Beastie Boys they were like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
were playing
That was
like
prime.
stadiums at that time.
So that was huge. It just brought in it was just word of mouth. Like so many people came to Boarding for Breast Cancer and they raised so much money. And it's still going on today. And that really kicked it off in such a huge way. And Monica was supposed to be at that event and didn't make it, you know.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it was, it's got a really good cause behind it. And I think it's really impacted a lot, you know. Like,
I think that it was a starting point for women in snowboarding having a bigger purpose than just being there, just competing. Like it was like the first social action in snowboarding.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything before that where it was like, let's come together for a good cause.
Yeah.
It was like, let's just come together and drink and
Exactly, I think.
and
you're
ride, right.
about that, yeah.
And I think that the women that are in snowboarding now are still stewards of that kind of social action. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like now we see things like protect our winters and drink water and social movements within the culture. But I really feel like Boarding for Breast Cancer was an instant success. First of all, it was like widely regarded through the snowboard community as like something that had to happen. Like, we're such good people. We can't just go to contests and drink and break things.
Yeah.
Let's have something with some positive impact. And that started it off, I think.
Yeah. It just all came together in just like amazing ways, really. You know, I mean, just to have the Beastie Boys there and.
You mean Quasar?
Excuse me.
Did they play? They played Beastie Boys songs, though. Obviously, right?
Yeah, it was insane. I think the stage broke. It was like crazy. People were just going off, and then Sierra at Tahoe was just—they've always been just so generous too with the event, you know, and it's pretty cool.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
So what happens next after, like, because we're kind of going in order here, like Sims, Burton, and then Burton, you become like undisputed world champion. Is that right? Like a few.
I think 93, maybe 92 or 93. I was like world champion, and that's with the ISF.
With
International Snowboard Federation.
Yeah.
That was very European driven. Like, gosh, it seemed like so political at the time. Nobody even cares now.
Right.
But
FIS
like back
versus
then.
ISF. Wait, was it FIS or was it ISF?
It was ISF.
Which is the like International Snowboard Federation.
Yeah.
I remember those events. Like they were.
I would never do FIS. That was like, oh, nobody does FIS. Like unless you're like sold out or whatever.
until the Olympics, and then 4 years later.
And then people are always, I don't know if they're bummed, but they're like, oh, snowboarding should have its own federation. And let me just tell you that I was so involved in like the the rider meetings with the contest organizers or the ISF or whatever, trying to get that going. And just the riders just didn't really want to come together. It's like to get them to go and commit to a meeting or say, no, we're not going to do FIS events because we want our own organization, was just nobody cared. So
I can say from a personal standpoint that I understand why they didn't care, because we didn't understand.
Yeah,
like nobody
yeah.
understood.
And that's part of snowboarding. We don't care. That's why you snowboard.
Yeah.
So that's the way it is, and that's
Yeah, it was like, you're
Who
going to go in a
cares, you know?
contest. How much is it? It's $20.
But when it did get more, the contest got to have more prize money and more serious, and the tricks got harder, and we wanted the conditions to be for the riders instead of just for the sake of holding the contest. It was really still difficult to get people involved in those riders, but I don't know. Hey, I tried.
Right. Did you go to the Olympics in '98?
Yeah, I went to the Olympics. And as you know, I don't know if listeners would know, but the Olympics was like such high controversy.
Yeah.
To have snowboarding in the Olympics, and FIS is now controlling it. We don't have our snowboarder driven organization. Obviously, we just talked about that, but
Right, and Terrier's not going.
Terrier's not
People
going.
don't understand that. Like, I mean,
They don't.
A lot of our listeners were around for that, so they do. But like,
well,
the
Chloe
fact that,
Kim
yeah,
didn't. So I was talking to her.
Yeah.
So I was on this trip. Kelly Clark invited me on,
Oh, that's sweet.
and to Baldface last winter.
Oh,
And
that's epic.
it was
I saw
really
photos from
epic.
that. That was
it
amazing.
So
Yeah.
awesome, and thank you, Kelly, because that was such a great trip. But it was her kind of 20-year retirement from competing, not retirement from the sport, but so she invited myself, Amelin, and Chloe Kim, and I was telling Chloe, like, oh yeah, the Olympics, like, you were just lame, really, if you went to the Olympics. And she's like, what? Are you serious? It's like the number one watched event at the Olympics now is the snowboarding halfpipe. I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't when I went. You were just shunned by a lot of people.
Right.
She's like, I can't believe that. She didn't know. So
Well, they also made, like, FIS made it really difficult to go to the ISF contests. Like,
Yeah.
once you switched over, I'm not an expert on
Well,
this, but it feels like
that first event, or the first, you had to go to 5 events.
yeah.
And all the riders were all over the place. Like, I think the men's and the women's, like, our results were just all over the place in the first.
Right.
Until the last event. And, I mean, I just really squeaked in. I had to I think I had to get third. I don't know what I had to get, but I just made it the third position to go to the 98 Olympics.
How did it turn out for you? How were your runs and stuff?
At the Olympics?
Yeah. At 98, because I just talked with UC. He was saying that Daniel Frank clearly won. Like, it was like he beat everybody, and then he got second. Like, the judging was like...
I remember that.
Yeah. Do you
It was
remember
a
it? Do you remember it the
so
same way? Do you feel like that was what happened?
So for me, first of all, the weather was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, the final run, it was like lightning, and it was dangerous. Like, it was raining and lightning and thundering
and the bottom of the pipe was just mush.
It was totally mush. So my first run in the finals, I had a number 1 bib. I was seated to go last because
that's how it goes.
How it was. And then I took my first run and I was in first, and I had just learned a McTwist, so that was my big trick, right?
Sick.
And then and I pulled it off, and I'm in first, and I go up and I go last. So everyone has their good run, and toward the bottom, I just hit a slush puddle.
Yeah.
I didn't fall. I just hit the slush puddle, and I just lost my speed. And so I didn't get the amplitude for my last 2 hits, but I pulled off my McTwist. And so luckily I got third, but then I was like, dude, I just blew it.
Oh, man.
So, it was
I heard third is better. You're happier than... I think second is the worst. I think second is the one where you could have been first.
So
Whereas third, you beat everybody else that didn't podium. You know what I mean? Like second, you're looking, you're like, one person beat me. Third, you're looking, you're like, I beat everyone who did not make it.
So funny.
So there's a silver Olympic medal in this house?
Bronze.
Bronze,
Bronze.
Yes,
yeah. I have the bronze medal. And so that's
amazing.
like, my kids always joke.
Yeah.
They're like, they'll like give me a hard time. They're like, yeah, well, at least you're a bronze medalist or whatever. Like, that's not didn't quite win, but you're good enough for a third. So it's really funny. But, back then you had to take the 2 runs and they combine your scores.
That's what Yusu was saying. That it was bizarre. Like, what a weird way to promote snowboarding because...
But that's how all events were.
Oh, all events were that. Okay.
Yeah, you had to take your 2 runs and it was combined.
So your finals were just like everybody's doing their safest run with a little push.
Exactly. So
like
I love the format now where you can just push it and try new things and stuff.
Yeah, it seems
so
way
then
better.
Right after that, I was just, oh my gosh. Yeah, it was kind of just such a mix of emotions right away. And right away, I just had to be like, you know what? I'm at the Olympics. This is a great experience. Whatever. I had to just kind of blow it off. Otherwise, I would have just gotten too aggravated at myself,
Right. Well, that's the thing about the Olympics was that the first seeded people didn't win. They didn't win.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And so that's the thing about the Olympics and in general. It's like, it is what it is. Yeah,
because Ross, remember Mark Fawcett's board blew up? Oh, my God.
So, you put all this weight on the Olympics, but in perspective, it was, for my perspective, I appreciate the whole experience.
Did you still get world champion that year? Because you'd done all those FIS events. Does that count?
I don't think I think the world champion days were like more 92, 93, 94.
Yeah, like right until Craig left, huh?
Yeah.
And then maybe
I'd have
one
to
more.
Kind of look back in my archives. I'm not sure.
But okay, yeah, I'm just what I'm going for there is like I know when Maëlle Ricker won.
Oh yeah.
In Vancouver, and then she went and won Baker. She was like, Baker feels like more of a legit win in snowboarding. Did you kind of feel that, like, or was it just because you got the bronze? You're like, you could be like, oh, the Olympics doesn't mean that much.
It did. I wanted to.
Right,
I wanted to win.
But if you had
like
your
whatever.
gold medal, you could be like, yeah.
But I also wanted to win all events.
Everything. Yeah, you were a competitive person.
I was, and that was what my job was, and I wanted to do it.
Did it ever get you in trouble with any of your friends? Because you're also friends with most of the people or all the people you're competing with.
That's why I love snowboarding, because at the top of the pipe or the whatever venue you're doing, I don't know about racing, but freestyle, there's a really positive atmosphere and people are rooting for you. And I think it's genuine, but they also want to win. So it's like it's a healthy competition for the most part.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I want people to do their best, but I want to do better. So that's like a good competition. I thought it was fun. It's like playing a game. You play chess or you play a game, and Dave, my husband's just like, he doesn't really understand that. He's like, I hate competition. It's just like, it's so dumb.
That's really the yin and the yang of you two, I guess.
Yeah,
hey?
it is.
Because he was the anti-contest guy. He was backcountry before.
Yeah.
Like backcountry freestyle when it was like, where the backcountry stuff was just.
They're really pioneering.
Pinning lines. Yeah.
They're reconning like new areas and
developing the split board. Like that was, I remember he filmed a good part of his part on a split board that first year.
Yeah. So that was it. He has a totally different mindset, but I'm like, hey, I think of it like it's like a game. So if you're not going to play the game to win, why do you even play it? Like if I don't want to do my best and win, I shouldn't compete. I mean, it's fun. Like I want to do it, but I also don't want to be a jerk.
Did you ever switch your job to like video part filming? Like,
I did a video part with Whitey's Revival.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't quit competing or anything.
You just filmed on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a cool opportunity. He gave me that, and then
that's a great film.
Yeah, and then I filmed a little bit with the hatchets and like Mac Dog, and just like usually I get the best slam section. It's like my first time. When I first filmed, I was with Sims, and Galen said, "Oh, I have this opportunity for you to film with Mike Hatchett and I don't know who. I think it was Dogger and Hatchet kind of filmed together."
Yeah.
And so I did the photo shoot, and I was like, "Do you mind if my boyfriend comes?" And that was Dave, and so that's how they were introduced to Dave.
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they're like,
that's
"Okay,
awesome.
well, he can go with Kurt Heine. That's like the B grade thing." And so Rippy and I go, and so I had never filmed before, and I go with Rippy, who's
A-team. Like,
A-team,
yeah.
gnarly. Oh my gosh, like I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying. I was just way out of my league. Like there was no warm up. There was just like huck yourself, and I just did not pull that off very well. So anyway, I filmed some.
What era of Rippy is this?
94.
So pre that big backflip stuff, but just like he was.
Oh gosh, he's like, I'm gonna go off this. He scopes it from the bottom. He's like, right away, he knows exactly what he's gonna do. I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna do this backflip off it or whatever.
Oh man!
And I'm gonna stick it. Okay, you ready? Okay.
And you're just like, where do you want me to go?
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do anything.
We'll see when I get there how it feels. Yeah. Oh man.
So it's pretty funny.
Those are the pivotal movies. Like you're filming with the right guys.
Yeah.
And it seems like you had a pretty fun time no matter what anyways, right?
Oh
like
yeah. And like all those filmers were just so gracious for sure. And and they're filming with like film, so it's like one, you don't know if you're getting a shot until it's processed.
Right.
And two, it's really expensive. So like 100%, like so much pressure.
Oh yeah.
And then three, I've never done any of this stuff before. So I'm like just going for it,
And then when you come back at the end of the day and you're talking with Dave, are you like, wow,
I'm
was your
sore.
thing?
I slammed so hard. Yeah, and then Dave killed it.
He killed it.
Like he didn't fall. Like he just kept getting shot after shot after shot, and they're like, "You're in.
This guy.
You're moving on up to like."
Did they send
the
you
next
out
level.
with Kurt? They're like, "You go."
Yeah,
with
we're
Kurt.
switching. I think you're out, Shannon. You stick to the half pipe.
That's amazing. So, who's the first? Like, what's the first team where there's two women on the team that you're on? Like at what point does it?
Well, like Burton, they had, Nicole Engelrath,
Yeah.
Michelle Taggart, Victoria
Nice.
Jalouse.
Oh, yeah.
Cara Beth Burnside.
Oh, killer team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CB was my roomie at the Olympics in '98. And
Sweet.
I just saw her and she's like, I'm so glad we got stuck together as roommates during the Olympics. I'm like, I think we both felt that way because we were polar opposites, and we ended up just being friends and going back to the Olympics really quick is like, we didn't want to wear those ugly outfits. So we go to breakfast and we're just wearing our clothes. We're like, we're not wearing these hideous like polo shirts that don't fit that are like so ugly.
We don't buy into this.
Well, I have an article that the newspaper picked up on that somehow, and Shannon and CB did not wear their appropriate Olympic clothes. They're not appreciative.
Whoa.
I was like, gosh, that is so crazy.
That is crazy.
Isn't it? Like,
Who
we
were
made the news.
Yeah, who were the sponsors of the Olympic team for?
X-Nix.
What the heck is that?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think it might have been a ski company. I'm not sure.
You don't know. So you had these, yeah.
And we're like, oh my gosh. And so we were just like, laughing at all the things that we had to do, and
Yeah.
which was funny. We had to get gender tested too. I'm a girl.
Okay,
I'm
I want
a
to.
female.
You know what? I want to talk about this because I've heard it on Radiolab, and any listeners that haven't listened to Radiolab, I'm just going to say that the Olympics is really where gender is.
Oh gosh.
It's designed. That's why we have a women's and a men's like complete gender. Like, no, it's not why, but they had to determine like fairness for the world. They're like, the Russians can't send
because the Germans
guys
sent
that look
a
like
swimmer
girls.
that was a man, and that's since then we had to be gender tested, but was the last time.
They came up with the stupidest way. So the first gender tests were literally like, show me what you got down there, and you'd have to walk in front of a bunch of judges and show that you're a woman. Isn't that not insane?
That's humiliating.
Yeah.
Well, you have to pee in front of people at the Olympics too.
That's my buddy Seth did that for 2010. He had to collect a random sample.
And that was another controversy, which wasn't a controversy at all, but like I had hydrated so much, like I drank so much water that my pee was diluted, so I couldn't take a test and I couldn't make the award ceremony, so they had to postpone it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then that made the news because Ross Rebagliati had the whole pot thing. So then then I have a news article that's like suspicious about me, whereas like I just drank too much water. You're like the sweet innocent, like you're not even smoking pot. And then I was just like in there in confinement, like I couldn't go anywhere. I was like, I'm so hungry. And then my stomach just cramped up, like I couldn't move because the nerves and the whatever. And I was like, I just want to leave here. So,
and are they going like, oh, she's obviously got something to hide. She's freaking out.
Like, I don't know.
Were they nice to you?
Yeah,
okay, tell us about the gender thing. What the hell was the gender test?
They just take a swab into the inside of your lip and grabbed cells.
Well, that's way better than...
Yeah, but they don't do that anymore. But they gave us like a card, a gender card. I have it. And
it says
I'm a woman.
Certified woman.
Woman, yes.
And what are they using for that? Like to show that they've got XY
Maybe
chromosome or whatever
now,
the hell it
sure.
is? That's nutty.
That was fun.
Well, I'm glad you didn't have to go in front of it because it was like a group of dudes, right? Yeah. Like, okay, we got to see all the women in the Olympics.
Yeah, that's
naked.
what we need to do.
Yeah. My God, that's so bizarre, but it's also so not snowboarding. That's why snowboarding in the Olympics, it was like, why would you want to do that? Yeah. And that's why skateboarding and surfing in the Olympics, it's like, why would you want to do that?
Now I look back and I don't recommend it being in the Olympics.
And you were you were competitive, like top of the competitive field.
Yeah.
And like, do you feel like pre-Olympics, like all that stuff was like a little bit more creative and a little bit more rider driven? And then once the Olympics came in, it kind of...
I kind of think it's rider driven now because the stakes are so high that they have to listen to the riders. I would think. I don't know. That's not a question I can even answer, actually.
Right.
Ask Kelly Clark that or something. But
sure.
It's really... I don't want to say maybe it shouldn't have been an Olympic sport, but maybe just that it's... the pendulum's gone extreme where it's only the Olympics now, and there's like nothing. Well, there's like, you do have parts of snowboarding that are really, like the rail crew and that kind of crew.
A lot of powder riding stuff now too.
Yeah, but they're not getting paid. So like there's pros, but unless you're going to the Olympics, you're not really getting paid.
Right.
So it would be cool if down the line, maybe you could be a pro rider and not have to go to the Olympics and compete to still be a pro snowboarder, because that's like the coolest part of snowboarding, because we could go to the Olympics and also do other things and also film and also do this or that, or you could be Dave Downing or Kevin Jones and Travis Rice. He still does that now. He's really done well of, just
taking it that direction. Yeah, and there was a those 2010 Olympics, like the stuff they were doing was unimaginable,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
5 years before that or 3 years before that.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
Yeah.
it's 2 Olympics.
I
since
like
then.
just seeing what the younger kids are doing and what they think is cool and how they're riding. I think that's really fun to watch. Like,
You mentioned Chloe
they're-
Kim. Like, what's her mode? Is she just competitive all the way, or does she froth for powder and stuff too?
I mean, I only met her at Baldface.
Oh, okay.
And so
Yeah,
I only met
yeah.
her that one time, but she was super sweet and so young. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like, could
And
be my
c-
daughter.
oh,
'cause
yeah.
You're so young.
Right, yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
my kids are a couple years younger than her, which is so crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's like it's just totally different.
Did she have a sense of history? Like, did she recognize? Like, did she know who you were and stuff like that?
I'm not sure.
Like, she didn't
I
say.
don't,
Yeah.
I don't know, but she was really blown away by like some of the old stories, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I
the
love that.
Olympics, like what? But it's just, I mean, she's insane in the half pipe. Just, I love
Insane.
watching her just
Yeah.
effortlessly riding, you know. It's
Yeah.
pretty-
Do you think there'll be parity in snowboarding between the men and the women at some point? Like, does that, when you see how good she is, right? Like, she's better than
Yeah.
any guy from our era.
Yeah.
She's better than any guy from, like,
Dude.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I love it's just like she's so effortless, like graceful and totally feminine.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she like totally froths outside of the pipe or not. I'm not sure. But
Maybe you have to focus
oh my
strongly,
gosh.
right?
Oh yeah, for
Because
sure.
it's got to be every moment of every day that you're
Yeah,
snowboarding. You got to be thinking about winning.
Right. And you're training and
And
you have to
training,
be
yeah.
strong and you have to be able to do those tricks and everything. So
Yeah, Dave mentioned that Mark McMorris lives pretty close,
yeah.
and that he comes here to decompress because it's so
It's a great
intense.
place to decompress. Yeah.
Yeah. So when do you guys? Yeah. Now we're jumping all over the place, but when do you guys get married and do all that stuff?
So 99, we got married, and I went to the 2002 Olympics, and that was hard to get through. I qualified for like the first person to qualify, so
Rad.
I was like done. I did my first 2 events, won them both. I qualified, but
Sick.
like, I had a really difficult time with just the. I think it was all about like amplitude and everything, and I wanted to like progress the tricks, and so I was working on that, but I think I was just really frustrated with the judging and all that, and I'd been doing it for so long that I was burnt out, and so I got 5th at that Olympics,
That's 2002 in
Salt Lake City, and that's when Kelly won.
Yeah.
And then she just took over.
That was
the
it.
fight.
That was like kind of a handing of the torch, kind of.
Yeah, that was really cool. That happened
You're
for
like,
her.
that was really cool. It
Well, I
happened for
mean,
her.
I was just so like, oh, I got to get through this. I got to get through the Olympics.
Right.
But it was hard. Like, I just was like, I don't want to ride to the judges. I don't like their judging. I don't want to do it. I was just a brat, and I just,
Sure.
I should have just, if I wanted to win, you got to play the game and
The
how to
competitor
win.
in you knows
and
how
so
to win. Right.
I was just kind of burnt out in my career, really. And so that was 2002.
What was the field like? Who was there? Was Natasha there? Natasha Zurich?
I think. Well, yeah.
Cool.
So, Shirsti Buas.
Yeah. Now
She
we're
got
getting out of my
4th.
yeah.
Okay, so
yeah. Now we're
anyway-
getting out of my
Okay,
because I never really followed the competition stuff. My competition time was Craig Kelly kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you would read the results in
Yeah.
Transworld every year
Yeah.
or every issue, and you'd be like, oh, Shannon Malhughes is doing good this year. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I wonder who that is.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, like Dave Dowd. Ooh,
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
who wasn't he on Kemper or something? I think he was.
But right after that, I was like, I'm ready to retire, and and I want to have a family. I want to start a family. So Dave and I talked about that, and he's like, I just don't want you to have any regrets. So if there's anything more you want to do in snowboarding,
that's so sweet.
You got to do it. And I was like, I don't. I feel like I did everything I could not even imagine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It was just the craziest time and so awesome. I'm ready. I really want a family. And so 2003, I had my first son, and then 2004, I had my second son. So they're like 19 months apart. And so that's intense having kids right away.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And going from like pro snowboarder right to momhood. And that transition is just like a pivotal moment in my life for sure. I mean, it was just like screeching halt. I was like, I'm ready.
Yep.
I'm doing this. I'm going to like kill it. And then I'm going to have a baby, and then I'm going to the X Games. That did not happen. I had Logan 2003. And then I couldn't even move after childbirth. I couldn't even move my foot. It was like foot drop. And I went to a doctor, and he's like, oh, you'll never get that feeling. You'll never get that movement back.
Oh my God.
Again. And I'm like, no, that's not the answer I'm looking for. I'll talk to somebody else. And so I did. I got it tested, and it was nerve damage from childbirth, but like it came back a couple months after. But I was like dragging my foot literally wouldn't lift. Like I couldn't point or lift my foot. And
that's insane.
But I'm like, I'm going to the X Games. So I was registered for the February X Games. I had Logan in April, and I'm like, I'm doing it. And the first time I got on the mountain, I got a concussion. like, oh my gosh, this is not like a lot of, you'll see Olympian stories like on TV, right? Like, I just had a baby, and then I competed. I got the gold medal. I'm like, that shouldn't be too difficult. You just pop out the baby. Yeah. And for me, it wasn't like that at all. But I did try, and a lot of things just were not happening. And I've never experienced like where your mind does not connect to your body. But I experienced it, and I was like, it was so frustrating. I was like, gosh, this must be like people that aren't maybe athletic. They kind of maybe feel like this. This is so strange. And I hated it, but I don't, that mind body connection did come back. But it was very strange to go through that.
And then you had another kid.
And then I had another kid. And so I was still trying to be a pro snowboarder.
Were you still sponsored at that time?
Yeah.
And Burton was still taking care of you?
Yeah, like I went to a photo shoot. You know, it's like Logan, baby, and Dave go to Europe for the girls' photo shoot.
It's amazing.
It was really funny, but
I think that would be the biggest challenge with pro snowboarder career and mom would be you can't travel. I mean, you can, but
it's just so hard. I mean, like Kimmy Fasani, she's traveling. It's in my book, it's really not that fun because it's really hard. I mean, you're trying to take care of a baby, and the baby just needs certain things. And so anyway, but you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's awesome if people want to do that, and they can do that. But anyway, so I had my second baby, and I still did some traveling, and but at a certain point with Dave's travel schedule, I wanted to be the full-time parent. I didn't want to give that up to a nanny or even Dave. Like, I wanted to be there. Like, it was just in me. Like, everything in me was like, I'm doing this. I don't care what I have to sacrifice. And, you end up as a parent, mom or dad, you're sacrificing. That's just a parent. And that's awesome. Really, like, what you get out of your sacrificing for your kids is worth it.
It's so hard during the time, hey? Yeah. Like when people are going off, and like I said, I think I said this before we set the mics up. When I'm at my home mountain and I'm riding with my kids and I see my friends, they're like, hey man, you're with your kids? Okay, see you next time or whatever. But now I'm at the stage where my kids can keep up. Yeah. Which is fun. And it's fun to lap with your kids and your friends.
My kids are awesome. And now they're 15 and 16.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep up with them, and they're always like, "You got to hit this fun box, Mom, or
Yeah,
go off this
yeah,
jump."
yeah.
Okay, you know. So it's really given me a second wind, and finally, you know, through their years growing up and teaching them, they would be out front in the front ahead of them, and then I'd be the back, just making sure if anybody fell or whatever. So my focus until like really the last couple of years has been tail guide.
Yeah.
From tail guide to like I get to ride for myself,
Yeah,
and this
yeah.
is so awesome. And so the last couple of years has just been like awesome. Like I love snowboarding so much, and I
Dope.
really miss just going out and riding hard. And like I like to hit like little jumps and like
Right.
even like little fun boxes.
What
little
about
mini
a
reels
super
or-
pipe? Has there been Shannon
I
done
can't
in
even
a
get
super
out
pipe?
of the super pipe.
Have you tried?
I've tried,
and
and
you
I-
can get to the lip.
Barely. And then I was talking to Kelly Clark about it. I was like, Kelly, I can't even get out. I can't
Yeah.
even get out of that thing. She's like, you could if you just like, you know, you totally have to ride it a different way. And she's like, if you gave it a week, you could do it. And I'm like, okay, I would love to have a week in a super pipe to try with full body armor, because like that thing's gnarly.
It is gnarly. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's really scary.
It's totally scary.
I could barely get out of a regular pipe. So super
Yeah.
pipes are not like
I have not figured that out. And every time I've had like a freestyle like jibby board or something, so that doesn't help either. And I really want to ride with a helmet if I get in a super pipe.
Yeah, do you ride with a helmet regularly?
I do at times, but mostly I don't.
Yeah, me too.
It just annoys me, but I should.
It's so weird. I was talking with Spencer O'Brien about it, and she's like looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah. But
And my kids both wear
my
helmets.
kids do too. They have to wear helmets.
They have
and,
to.
Like, yeah.
We're the same there. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
No.
you got to wear your helmets, kids.
I know.
Yeah.
I do have my helmet, and I'm going to try and wear that.
I want to see you rip in a super pipe because I know you could do it. Like you were a shredder in
I don't know.
half pipe.
I need some lessons from Kelly.
Yeah, yeah.
A week on Kelly.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
exactly.
Yeah. Jeez, I need a tune up too.
Or if it's just, you know what the thing is that once you get to go all the time,
Yeah.
like if you're there and you're going every day, yeah.
I mean,
like
you
a
have to
week.
sharpen your edges for sure.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
And just ride fast. I'm
Yeah.
riding for the first time in the Mount Baker Bank Slalom this
Oh,
year.
you are?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we're going to need sharp edges and
I'm going to the
really good wax.
Dirksen Derby for the first time.
I wanna go to that
next
one.
week. Yeah.
yeah, it's this early?
Yeah. I leave on, it's this coming weekend. Yeah. Well, December 13th or something.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Tahoe. How far is it from Lake Tahoe? Can I drive up there?
5 hours, 6 hours.
I could drive
You
it.
should do it.
That'd be fun. I mean, you need an invite or something, right? You
Yeah.
can't just drop by.
Yeah. Gotta have be invited. So
Yeah. You're doing it.
I'm doing it.
Were you going to win?
Excited. I don't even know. I don't know what happens when I snowboard. It just I gotta see.
That's awesome. Yeah, because
I'm
some people are
stoked.
just real competitors.
Yeah.
I know that Terrier said that he's not, but I've seen him at contests.
He's
and I'm
not
like,
competitive.
That's what he says. He
Oh,
says he's
okay.
not.
Okay. I don't believe that.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's funny.
So
I think it's so embedded in his DNA that he doesn't even realize he's competitive.
I think so, too. He's got an older brother, I think, or maybe two. I think that's kind of what you need. So was your brother older
Yeah.
than you?
Yeah.
And
he's
so
like-
you were kind of chasing him?
Totally.
And
And
the-
he's
yeah.
always been just encouraging, like, hey, you have to drop this rock to
Yeah.
flat.
Yeah.
You can do it. So I would just go for it.
And is he
fun.
still in Colorado or?
No, he lives out here in Carlsbad.
Oh, that's
So we're
rad.
pretty close. And my parents live nearby too.
Oh, that's
Which is
awesome.
Great. Yeah.
So everybody,
Everyone's here.
yeah.
And they moved out here because it's just sunny and nice. And
Do you surf? Does the whole
surf.
family surf?
Yeah, we just walk right down to the beach, and I surf a couple times a week for sure.
How was that?
It's awesome. That's why we live here.
Yeah.
It's either we're going to live by the beach or in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So I love living down here, especially with kids. You know, we were in Tahoe for 6 months when we first had kids, and then Encinitas for 6 months. And it was just, the community up there just kind of spread out so much.
Right.
So we just chose down here to bring up the kids. And they surf, they snowboard, but I mean, they surf almost every day.
That's crazy.
And I love surfing with them.
What does surfing every day look like for a kid who's in school? You go before school or you go after school?
After school, and then they have one every other Wednesday is a late start, so they can go in the morning.
Sick.
But yeah, in summer, just surfing every day.
That's just
like,
the thing.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
I'm overwhelmed by California, how California it is.
When I first visited here, like 94, I think is the first year I came here, I was like, I would never live here. This place is so busy.
It's busy.
Totally California, you know?
Yeah.
But when I love it. I love living by the beach. I love the ocean. And I always told my parents, like, I'm good if I just stay west of the Highway 5.
Yeah.
And a lot of places you can ride your bike, and it's community. Like, you run into people all the time. So
yeah. Who are your friends that are here that listeners would know that live in
Encinitas locals. Roberta Rogers,
Mm-hmm.
JP Walker, Roberta Walker.
She's doing a lot better, huh?
She's doing
Thank God.
so much better.
That was really scary.
That was very scary. She got in a car, hit by a car truck.
On her bike.
On
Just
her bike.
Just mushed.
She's just amazing. And JP's amazing as just taking care of her. And,
Sweet
amazing,
person. Yeah, and he was going through his own challenges leading up to that, right? Like with PTSD, which he talked about publicly, which I've noticed it in the community that there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right? Because snowboarding's so dangerous. Mouse was saying it yesterday. It's like there were times where he just was like, I can't believe that we're here.
Yeah, what
you
you
know what I mean?
kind of do. I mean, I don't feel like I was ever at that kind of a level, but you're always at a level, you know.
Yeah,
it's
no,
just
you're
different,
yeah.
you know. But yeah, what he's done, and it's just crazy,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then to be among people that really don't understand, you can't communicate. It helps to be around people that have been in that have experienced what you have, you know. I think like being a mom too down here, that was part of a struggle for me, because it's like, well, I'm just this mom and nobody really relates to like the life that I live. So it's like I didn't really talk about it.
Yeah, you're not meeting when you're meeting other kids' moms.
Yeah.
Or dads. You're at the play group. You're not like, yeah, I was a snowboarder.
Do you like to like tweak out your grabs?
Oh, it's so crazy, yeah.
Being a mom down here, my friends crack up because the way my kids first realized that I went to the Olympics is, I think Logan was in 2nd grade, and his friend, like, they went to a book fair, and his friend was like, is this your mom? Because they told me the story after, you know, but like they found a book with me in it about the Olympics, and he's like, this is your mom? Is this your mom? She's an Olympian? And Logan's like, she is? So they come running to my minivan, have the minivan, and they're like, Ma. Logan's like, Mom, are you famous? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, we found a book. You're an Olympian. That's how they found out that I was
incredible
in the Olympics. And then my friend, I was like, why is that funny to my friend, right? But right. Outside perspective, because, you know, if like me in the Olympics, it wasn't like that's the thing in my career. Like, I wouldn't say the Olympics was the crux of my career, or the thing, you know. So I just disregarded it. And plus, you have kids, and they don't really care who or what you did.
Oh God, yeah, not
they
at all.
They could care less. So.
Yeah, your
mom. It was never anything, you know.
Oh, your mom, yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be a real difficult transition to go from traveling, people telling you how great you are. You show up at a hill and people are like, "Can I take a picture with you?"
Yeah, and you don't realize it.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
And then you're a mom and that you don't get anything. It's
Zero.
just like, and that's every mom, that's every dad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good. You know, it's really a humbling experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great thing about being a parent. Because all those external things that really don't matter, they don't matter.
It's rare that parents, like I know in our birthing class, it was like, we wanted to have kids. And everybody else that was there was like, oops, like we're scrambling to figure this out. But you wanted to have kids, so there's that drive, and that you do get probably a little more satisfaction out of it than somebody who would have, if you would have accidentally got pregnant when you were competing.
Yeah.
You would have been probably pretty bitter about like,
oh, I lost
took
something.
this away from me. Yeah.
Right. Or struggle to figure out how I was going to like integrate both. But yeah, I was like, it was funny because I went into having kids as like an athlete, a competitive athlete. I'm going to kill it.
Yeah,
I'm going to be number one mom. And this is
did
not
you
the way it
compare your
goes.
kids to other kids? Were you like, okay, our kids are going to be walking at 6 months? Yeah,
no.
You weren't that kind of parent.
No,
You
I
were
was
just
looking
like,
at me.
I want to be the best parent that I could be.
I'm just going to do it all.
Yeah.
I'm going to have like the clean house. And then like,
Oh,
I have
wow.
no house. I tell Dave that he missed his calling as a housewife because he is like, he's got that type A personality. He like loves to do the dishes. He loves to do the laundry. Like
We've had several guests on this year saying dishes are the me time.
So,
So,
that's like
for
all about
guys, yeah.
Dave, and like he loves all that stuff, and I hate it. I'd rather just be gone out of the house all day, and I am like,
Yeah.
I'm just out, whatever, surfing. Or when the kids were little, it was just like my mom would say, "Can you just stay home?" And I'm like, "No, I can't. We gotta go."
Gotta go to the playground or just
we're like
out,
on the
get
move.
outside of the house, keep it moving, keep the
Yeah.
kids distracted.
Yeah.
Because sitting at home is painful.
And then I used to, when I became a mom, I used to shop at like this killer seaside market, which is like a specialty market. So everything's like really expensive, but so good. And they have prepared foods. And that's where I would do all of my grocery shopping. And so my mom friend, she's like, "You shop at seaside market, like for all of your groceries?" And I'm
everything.
like, "What do you, yeah. Like, don't you? Like, why wouldn't I?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so expensive." And
Yeah.
I was like, oh. So it's funny.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, did you ever mentor people after you left professional snowboarding? Like, did you come in and coach or anything like that?
No
Did they-
coaching. I mean, literally, I went from snowboarder to kids to full-on kids. Like,
To full-on kids, yeah.
I did a couple traveling things with babies, and then I was like, who am I trying? What am I trying? Why am I trying to keep that dream alive? Like, so I literally just, if one thing I did do as like a competitor translated to a mom is total 100% focus. It was like, I'm in momhood. I got the minivan, which I still have a minivan. And the story is when I went to get a car, because I had an Audi wagon and I could barely get my baby car seat in.
Yeah.
So I was going to get like the SUV. And then Dave's like, why don't, I'm looking for a truck. This is way back when the kids were babies. And they have these Toyota minivans. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not even looking at those because I know you want me to get one of those because they're practical. I know you, Dave. I'm not even going to look at him. He's like, just look at this. Look, you push the button and the door's open. It's got the video screen and everything is like killer, like push the button, everything. And I was like, oh, okay. I kind of think I like this minivan. And I had to be all wheel drive, and they had Toyota all-wheel drive minivan, so
Yeah.
I was sold, and I love my minivan. I don't care. I don't care what I look like.
Yeah.
I'm stoked on the minivan.
You went full mom.
I went
You're 100%
full on
mom.
mom mode, and yeah.
That's dope. I just love meeting people who love snowboarding as much as I do.
I do love it.
Yeah. Do you keep in touch with Tina?
Oh, yeah.
Keep in touch with Barrett as well?
Yeah, I saw Barrett at the It's Tits
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. Yeah. She's just still...
Where was that? That was in California.
Timberline. No, that was Oregon.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I was introduced to Timberline has what they call a flow park.
Flow park.
That changed my life right there. I wish every resort everywhere in the world had one of those things.
Flow park.
So fun.
Let's get that going.
Please, can we get that going?
Yeah.
It's just like side hits and just fun little quarter pipes and rollies and
really creative and cool looking stuff. Like it's good for photos. It's good for
you just want to hit like side hits, right? But you can't hardly find those at resorts. Seems like there's always
you have to go to Mount Seymour. Mount Seymour's got side hits all over it.
Fun.
So dope.
My favorite kind of riding.
Yeah.
And powder.
Yeah.
And then beside last year was the Epic of Winters. That was so fun.
You guys got tons of snow down here.
Tons of snow. Oh my gosh. Deepest powder I've ever ridden. And then we went to Japan. That was fun.
Oh, man.
And I love Japan. I could talk about Japan forever, but anyway.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you again for doing the show, and we'll keep in touch.
Sounds great.
If you come up to Vancouver, come up to Whistler.
Yeah.
We should go out with the whole family. Have everybody go out. That'd be fun.
That would be fun. I love it up there.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks
Eric. FNRad shout-outs this week to Gwen Howitt and all the women that make the Mount Baker legendary bank slalom legendary. It's a large group of volunteers, and I can't wait to see what ends up happening because I'm in it this year for the first time ever. So I'll let you know in a few weeks how I did. All right, I'm sure I'll probably post some Instagram photos and shit like that of the race and the people who were there. Thanks to all you guys for listening to this show. It's changed my life. I love it. I'm having such a great winter. Be sure to come back next week for another episode of the FNRad Snowboard Podcast presented by Vans and brought to you by SIA Productions.